What's going on? It is dynamic dude back up in the building, man. And today we are doing our ABSN live NFL preview for the 2025 season, setting it off with the AFC West. And AFC West, man, got some good quarterbacks, some good coaches, and we definitely are going to get into that, man. Here soon with you guys. So definitely hit that like, subscribe button for your boys here with the Aboriginal Sports Network. And we will be right back, man, to get into the AFC West, man. It's going to be a good one.
So to be honest with you, we got a couple of sacks because of hustle. And
a lot of different reasons in the past, or if he's still that quarterback that the Browns thought they were getting when they decided to pull.
Shadowing that offensive lineman and waiting for Jaden Daniels to do something. Welcome to the NFL All 32.
All right. Let's get into it, man. Here, setting it off, man. Of course, with your boys from the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, man. Now, Kansas City Chiefs, of course, lost in the Super Bowl last year to the Eagles of all teams, but they are looking to regroup here, and per bet MGM, they are projected at 11.5 on the win total. On the over/under. Strength of schedule is 11th, as in 11th toughest or 11th strongest, I should say. Pat, what's your initial thoughts on the Kansas City Chiefs, man? And talk a little bit about what kind of season they had last year.
Man, the Kansas City Chiefs had a crazy season last year, man. They actually won 15 games. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how they did it. Their offense was nowhere near as powerful as it has been the previous seasons to last season, but they kept getting like crazy breaks, man. Somebody will fumble when they get ready to score to win the game, or they'll get a blocked field goal or a call go their way. And they just found different ways to win last year, man. It was absolutely crazy. And to be honest, they weren't a 15-2 type team to me, but your record is what it says, man. They were 15-2. They made it all the way into the Super Bowl and got demolished by the Philadelphia Eagles, which I thought was going to happen because that Eagles team was just way more physical than what they were. This Chiefs team, I just believe they're well coached and they get a lot of good breaks. Let's just call it like that. Call it that. They get some good breaks, and they're well coached on defense with Steve Spagnuolo, who I believe is a Hall of Famer, and the Hall of Fame coach Andy Reid will go down as one of the best coaches in NFL history. And their defense showed up all year long. Now, I will give that to them. Their defense was outstanding last year. They saved them a whole bunch, and with some very close games. They get some very good teams. So we'll see what they do in this upcoming season, man. To be honest with you, I know they weren't a 15-2 last season. They just got a whole bunch of good breaks, man. But they are the Chiefs, and they were the champs until they were dethroned last year by the Eagles. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah, man. Definitely, we're gonna see what they do, but let's see what kind of moves they made in the off season, and let's see what kind of changes the Chiefs are going to occur going into this season. Now, looking at some of the key losses here, going down the names, changes at the wide receiver position. I'm looking at the loss of McCole Hardman, specifically in DeAndre Hopkins. Of course, had Justin Watson, of course, going over to the Texans. Traded Joe Thoney to the Bears. Josh Uche left for the Eagles, so they lost a little bit of edge presence. And, of course, Justin Reed to the Saints. Which one of these losses, man, do you think is going to impact the Chiefs the most, Pat?
The losses I think that's going to impact them the most is Joe Thuney. He's a very good guard. He's been there with the Chiefs, and he's done very good things over there on the offensive line with the Chiefs. I think their offensive line is going to have to show that they can, reform and get back to form next season. But the loss of Joe Thuney really hurt. Derek Nandi, the defensive tackle, I think he came up big in a couple of games for them last year, so that's a little bit of a hurt to them. Tashawn Wharton too, he's one of those rotational guys that came in and did what he was supposed to do on that defense, so that will hurt a little bit. And Justin Reed at safety, let's see if they have a safety that can do what Justin Reed did for them as far as leadership and as far as being that guy that punishes people when they come across the middle and making some of those key hits. But me personally, I know they're not worried about any of those receivers going. McCole Hardman has been replaced. D-Hop was a little bit older. He wasn't that a focal point in their offense. Justin Watson, he was that guy that nobody paid attention to that can hurt you. So that might be their biggest receiver loss and their biggest offensive loss is Justin Watson, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. I definitely would have to agree with that. The Chiefs always seem to get by with whatever receivers they seem to put out there in Andy Reid's system. So definitely not too worried about that. But it is something to keep an eye on. We've seen Pat Mahomes have to throw to the likes of Kadarius Toney.
Right.
At points in his career. So
and they overcame that, so they overcome a whole lot.
Let's look at some of the key names that they added here. Bringing back Kareem Hunt, Juju Smith-Schuster re-signing as well. They signed cornerback Christian Fulton to a 2-year, $20 million deal. Elijah Mitchell, running back, and also bringing back Marquise Brown, and of course tagging Trey Smith, non-inclusive franchise tag. Which one of these additions do you like here, Pat?
Well, it's not so much of an addition to me. It's bringing back the people they were supposed to bring. Nick Bolton was brought back.
Yeah.
He's a leader on that defense, and he's one of those linebackers that's gonna do what they're supposed to do. He's gonna be in the area he's supposed to be in, and he's gonna make tackles. And bringing back Trey Smith on the franchise tag was huge for them because their offensive line already took a hit last year, and then they lost Joe Thuney. But keeping Trey Smith is gonna help keep that offensive line together, man. But those two guys right there, bringing those guys back, and bringing back Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt was a huge focal point for that team last year when Pacheco went down. That was a huge bring back. They brought a lot.
I do like the Mitchell signing too.
Yeah.
I do like that signing. Yeah, I think that's my favorite signing out of all of them.
Yeah, they brought over Elijah Mitchell, so it'll be him, Pacheco, and Kareem Hunt holding it down. Not too fond of Marquise Brown coming back, but let's see what he does if he's healthy. Juju Smith-Schuster is still in the room. He's the grown man in the room when it comes to the receivers, and he comes up when he's supposed to. And Jalen Moore, they brought him in over there to play tackle, and let's see if he gets with the Chiefs way and does what he's supposed to do. But those bringing back Nick Bolton and Trey Smith was huge for them.
Yeah, man, most definitely, man. And the Chiefs just continue to be a steady team when it comes to the offseason. You don't see a lot of splash moves, but you don't see them like losing a bunch of talent either. They kind of keep it steady. You know, lose a couple pieces, they bring kind of similar, sort of equal level players in, and so I definitely like what they do over there from a front office standpoint. Speaking of the front office, let's take a look at their draft picks here. You had Josh Simmons, the tackle out of Ohio State. Omar Norman Lott, D tackle out of Tennessee. Ashton Glyton, Louisville edge. Noah Williams, cornerback out of California. Your boy Jalen Royals, wide receiver, Utah State. Jeffrey Bassa, linebacker out of Oregon, and Brashard Smith, running back out of SMU. Which one of these draft picks, bro? Which one of these picks, man? And we were, deep into the draft, deep into the Senior Bowl. Which one of these draft picks do you like here that you think is going to have the most impact in year one? Specific question. In year one, which one you think is going to have the most impact here for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Well, the most impact is going to be Josh Simmons. He's going to have the most impact because he's going to be starting at offensive tackle. But we actually got the chance to talk to a couple of their draft picks, and Jalen Royals and Brashard Smith at the Senior Bowl, and I think both those guys are going to be pretty good. But as far as the most impact, it's going to have to be Josh Simmons. But I think Jalen Royals is going to make a huge impact on this team. I think he's going to be able to get on the field, and he's going to be that guy that when you put all that pressure on Rice to go out there and make some plays, he's going to be that guy that works in the middle of the field and gets deep for him. He's a Chiefs receiver, man. I think he's going to have a huge impact, man. And Omar Norman Lott, he's going to go in there. He's going to be, infused. They're going to get to learn him and Jeffrey Bassa. I think they're going to get to learn the Chiefs way when it comes to defense. And I think they're going to be, some players that contribute in their rookie seasons. And as they go along, I think they're going to get a whole lot better. It's just the coaching over there with the Chiefs. All these guys have a chance to progress under the coaching and leadership in that Chiefs sidelines with the coaching, man. But the most impact has to be Josh Simmons. But the guy I think that's going to do the most impact is Jalen Royals.
Yeah, man. I like Omar Norman Lott on that D-line with Spagnuolo. And speaking of the D-line, we are going to peek here a little bit at their roster. I know it might be a little bit hard to see here, man. But if you look at it, see if I could that's not gonna do anything. All right. Let's see here. There we go. Yep. Slide it back. But anyway, on the D line, as I was saying, you got Chris Jones, Karlaftis, and then if you rotate Omar Norman Lott in there with Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, man, I think Spags, man, and then that Jeffrey Bassa kid, Pat, I think Spags has something cooking over there with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think that's going to be one of the big impacts, man, in my opinion, man, from that rookie class. Now, Chiefs always been nice on offense, but as we look at the offense, defense, special teams, what area do you think the Chiefs need to improve? I know it's tough to it might be a little tough to look at, but I'll figure something out here soon.
Areas they may need to improve. Protecting Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. Protecting Patrick Mahomes a little bit better going into this season. But they're going to have some rookies starting. And they're going to have to see if that guard play stays the same, even though they brought Trey Smith back, That's definitely where they're going to have to improve. And they're going to have to improve on that passing game. I know that sounds crazy with a Patrick Mahomes-led offense, but they're going to have to improve on that passing game, man. I think teams are starting to figure out how they like to throw the ball short and, get those short yardage plays and turn them into 20, 30-yard plays by breaking some tackles or the ball out quick with their blocking. And the tight end position. Doggone Kelsey is going to have to go back to being Kelsey. I'm just going to be honest with you, man, because he disappointed a lot of fantasy owners last year with his play. So we're going to see, man, see if old Travis gets back to form because that's what really hurt them last year when Travis was not Travis Kelsey. Yeah. That's what hurt them last year. So we're going to see exactly what they do because there's a lot of good defenses over there in that AFC West now. That Broncos defense, that Raiders defense, and that Chargers defense is nothing to sneeze at. So we're going to see what they do.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I do like this defense. As I was saying, you guys can see it a little bit better here and now. Got our act together, man. But if you're looking at that defense, man, Pat, man, and like I said, man, you got Nick Bolton, Leo Chanel, Drew Tranquil. They got a good core at the front seven, pretty much. You know what I'm saying, with the D line and the linebacker core. The corners, they did lose some in the safety area with Justin Reed, but you still got Trent McDuffie, still pretty good. But I think if that's a area that you would attack, would be the Chiefs' corners.
Oh yeah, I'm attacking Christian Fulton all day.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not sure that they're too strong in that area like they are in the front seven.
Nowhere's near close.
If we had to, just go into the defense, man, as much as I like the front seven, I do think they and that's typical with, Spagnuolo led defense. But all right, looking at the schedule here, Pat, now the Chiefs, we were talking 11 and a half on the win total. Are we looking at this schedule here now? I'm looking at week 6, that matchup with Detroit. Then you got Vegas. Then you got the Commanders. Then you got the Bills. Then you got the Broncos. That's a tough little stretch for the Chiefs right there. Then you get a little bit of break with Indianapolis. We'll see how they turn out. Then you get the Cowboys, Texans, and Chargers. So the middle part of their schedule, I think, is going to be key. And we'll see if any injuries have occurred during that time, or do they start to pile up some injuries during that stretch, which is a tough stretch against some physical teams, man. But how you feeling about this schedule, man? And how do you feel about that 11 and a half for the Chiefs, man? We going over? We going under? What we doing here?
Me, I'm actually going under. I'm going to say 10 to 11 because 11 is under 11 and a half. But you're going to see exactly what the Chiefs are about in the beginning of this season. You got the Los Angeles Chargers, who plays you very well every year. You got the team that crushed you in the Super Bowl the very next week. We don't know what the Giants are going to be, but I'm thinking their defense is going to be pretty good, and that may, play a part in that game. Then you got the Ravens.
That's the defenses, the Giants, Philly, and Baltimore.
The Chargers too. The Chargers defense legit too.
No doubt.
And then you get a little bit of reprieve in Jacksonville. But if you play around with them, they can beat you too, to be honest with you. But then you get Detroit, another good defense, Las Vegas, another good defense, Washington, another good defense, Buffalo, another good defense, Denver, another good defense. So in the first 9 games, you play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, potentially 8 good defenses in the first 9 weeks. We're gonna see what the Chiefs are about this upcoming season in those first 9 weeks. If they go 9-0, look out. If they're 6-3 or 7-2, look out. But they can easily be a 4-5, 5-4 team within those first 9 weeks, and it can get tougher because it gets tougher after that. You get Denver, right? I mean, you get the Colts, you can beat them. You get Dallas, who knows what they're going to be. Houston is loaded. Then you get the Chargers again. Then you get to beat up on Tennessee with Cam Ward. But then you get Denver and Las Vegas again to end the season. So it could get a little hairy over there for the Kansas City Chiefs if they're not all the way back, especially if Travis Kelce is nowhere near the same. That's what's going to hurt them, for sure.
I think, as we'll see as we continue this preview, I think the gap is starting to shrink a little bit between the Chiefs and some of these other teams, and I think they're going to not make that 11.5. I'm taking the under with you, Pat. I see this definitely being a 10-ish win team, maybe 11, but you're not getting to no 15-2 this year.
No.
You know, if you get to, good God, what we doing? You know, what we talking about here? You know, because while still a very solid team, you know, they're not as dynamic as they once were. And, you know, Pat Mahomes, you know, he's not invincible. You know, he has struggled at times. He has been hurt at times. And that schedule is tough. And, you know, teams will be coming after the Chiefs from a pass rush standpoint, as you pointed out, because their offensive line always seems to be somewhat. They've had good offensive lines in the years that they won the Super Bowls, but in a lot of years, their line has been suspect. They might have one of those lines this year, man. I don't know. We'll see. You know, I mean, they got good receivers. Don't think it's an outstanding group. Travis Kelce might have his one foot into retirement, 1 foot on the field, 1 foot into retirement. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just looking at all that, and I don't know. The Chiefs might be a team that's full. You know what I'm saying? You got a couple rings. You might be full. Pushing your plate back up.
In the Super Bowl, 5 times?
We had enough. Somebody else get a shot in there. You know what I'm saying? They could have that mentality. I'm just saying. I think they're still going to be very competitive. Not saying that that's what is going to happen. But, you know,
there's a chance this year that they might not get the AFC West. There is a chance because those teams are young and up and coming. It's just got to show, like I said, if some of their players get back to form. If Kelce gets back to form, then that's a whole nother story. But if Kelce is on that trajectory of retiring, that's going to hurt them. It is. They're going to have to depend on guys like Jalen Royals to step up. And, you know, that run game is going to have to be very effective like it was towards the end of last year. But we're going to see what the Chiefs do, man. I think the Chiefs are still going to be a team to be reckoned with. And don't get it twisted. They still have a hell of a chance to get the number 1 seed in the whole AFC again. So we'll see. But those first 9 weeks is going to tell you who the Chiefs are going to be. If they have a very good record out of those first 9 weeks, they are back to form. But I could easily see them being around 500 after those first 9 weeks.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. But we are going to transition over to our next team here, man, and we will be right back. All right, so right back here with you. Now we getting into the Chargers, man, with your boy Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. Last year, of course, 11-6, lost in the wild card round. Now they got them at 9.5 on Bet MGM here with the win total and a strength of schedule ranking of 12 toughest in the NFL. So the Chargers, you've seen a different vibe, a different style, a different Chargers team, man, under Jim Harbaugh here, Pat. So what did you see from them last year, man, that impressed you the most, man, with the Chargers?
Last year, what impressed me the most is Jim Harbaugh working his Jim Harbaugh magic with this team and turning them into a smash mouth type team with Justin Herbert as their quarterback. You know, he didn't succumb to the NFL fan bases and the NFL fans of tossing the ball all over the yard. They ran that ball and they ran it well last year, and it allowed Justin Herbert to develop more into a quarterback that can turn into a clutch quarterback because you're not putting so much on his plate. And I think that helped them out tremendously, man. And they did better than I thought they would be without a legitimate number one receiver out there, because Johnston is not a number one receiver. So they won games the old-fashioned way, defense and running that damn ball. And I do believe they're going to continue that trend. And I'm going to tell you why later when we go into key additions and things, why I think this team is definitely going to be something to reckon with next year.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And to be honest, you know, it's about time. It's about time with the Chargers, man, because they always seem to be one of these teams that, you know, are good, but just not good enough. Now it seems like they're actually building an identity and building towards being a true Super Bowl contender. Let's take a look at what they're actually building, but we got to start with what they lost here. Of course, a couple wide receivers, DJ Chalk, Josh Palmer, tight end Hayden Hurst. Big one here, Joey Bosa going over to the Bills. Asante Samuel Jr., also big loss there. He's actually still a free agent, I believe. But which one of these losses, man, you think is going to hurt the Chargers the most, man, going into this 2025 season?
To be honest with you, I think they played enough games without Joey Bosa to not feel the supreme hurt from Joey Bosa not being there. I'm just going to be honest with you. That dude was hurt. And they, you know, Poona Ford hurt still. I think Poona Ford was one of those big run stoppers that helped them last year as far as being a very good run stopping team. Asante Samuel Jr. might not even be a loss. He might come back on a 1-year deal because he didn't get the money that he was looking for on the market. And Christian Fulton, I don't think is a huge loss either, because he kept getting torched last year. When you needed something against the Chargers, Christian Fulton was the guy to go after. So, it is what it is. And, you know, Hayden Hurst might hurt a little bit because Jim Harbaugh loves the tight ends over there in his offenses. And losing Hayden Hurst, who's that guy that's a security blanket to, you know, move the chains, that may hurt them a lot. But all those other guys, I don't see too much of a loss on there. Even Joey Bosa, because he never played.
Yeah, man. Joey, got to get out there, man. You got to get out there, man, now in Buffalo. But let's see what they added and what they did here in free agency, Pat. You know, off rip, Najee Harris, man, love that signing, man. Pairing him with Jim Harbaugh, man, and what Jim Harbaugh likes to do. Also like the Mekhi Becton signing. They also signed couple wide receivers, Jalen Reagor, Mike Williams. Speaking of tight ends, Tyler Conklin, getting a 1-year deal over there. Bringing back Khalil Mack, of course, that was a no-brainer. I think so. And, a couple other additions here, Bud Dupree. But talk a little bit about some of the guys they added, man, and who do you think can have the biggest impact on this team?
Well, biggest impact is going to be Khalil Mack coming back to them, and Bud Dupree coming back. Those were two huge signings after losing to Joey Bosa. You still have your edge rush presence on there. Bringing back Tart after the loss of Poona Ford is very good. And I think they made a heck of a good signings, man, with Deontay Jackson and Elijah Molden to shore up that cornerback room in the backfield. You get Najee Harris, another bruising running back to replace Gus Edwards after he left. Mike Williams comes back, familiarity with your quarterback, Justin Herbert. Bradley Bozeman coming over to play center for you. I mean, Tyler Conklin, Hayden Hurst, Tyler Conklin, hand in hand. I think they did very good this offseason, man.
Yeah, they building something definitely over there, man. With the Los Angeles Chargers, man. And, you see an identity. You see a direction. You know what I'm saying? You see what they're trying to do, man. And that's a shout out to the coach, man, and the GM over there, man, and what they're doing. So, let's take a look at some of what they did in the draft, some of the draft picks that they got here. My man Omarion Hampton, man. Shout out to the Tar Heel. My man Omarion Hampton, man, being taken in the first round. And again, it's the style that the Chargers are trying to put together here, man. You seen they signed Najee Harris. You got Omarion Hampton in there now. Trey Harris out of Mississippi, man, definitely like that signing, man. Another target for Justin Herbert. Jamari Carnard adding to their defense, man, their pass rush group, man. But which one of these draft picks, man, do you think have the biggest impact, man, here with the Chargers, man, going into the 2025 season?
Man, I'm going with the 1-2 punch in the first and second round. I think they knocked it out the park. Omarion Hampton paired with Najee Harris is going to be absolutely dope. Herbert, hand that ball off and hand it off frequently.
And those monsters
do what they're supposed to do. Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris helps out your quarterback tremendously. Those days of, Justin Herbert throwing for 5,000 yards or almost close to 5,000, I think those days are over as long as Jim Harbaugh is the head coach over there. And Trey Harris, look at that dude's route running to be that big. I think he's going to have a huge impact on this team. I do believe he will replace Johnston as the number one receiver as the season moves along. And there are some big-ass guys at the receiver position. And then you got McConkey to back them up. He's going to work the middle of the field. He showed that he can be a star, which was your guy coming out of college that year. I liked Lad McConkey as well. He was pretty – I liked him coming out of college. I knew he was going to do what he needed to do. But you got Trey Harris, Johnston, and Mike Williams at the receiver positions out there with McConkey working the middle of the field.
Yeah,
and a dude that I want guys to focus on with the Chargers going into this year, the 5th round draft pick of Rondé Gaston II. If you remember his father, he was a receiver, but Rondé Gaston at tight end can absolutely do wonders for Justin Herbert as well. I think they've built a nice roster around that kid Herbert, and he needs to take it to the next level. But what you think?
Yeah, man. Speaking of the roster, man, we'll take a little bit of a look here at the roster here. Starting on offense, man. As you can see, they definitely have done some things here, man. That offensive line, though, bro. Rashawn Slater, Zion Johnson, Bradley Bozeman, Mekhi Becton, Joe Alt. It can move mountains.
Nasty.
For Omarion Hampton, for Najee Harris. You know, they got Rocket Sanders as an undrafted free agent, man. That's your guy.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm telling you, like you say, Pat, hand the ball off, sir. Just hand the ball off, because that's all he got to do. That's all he got to do, man. And you got Lad McConkey that can work the middle of the field, you know what I'm saying, into the intermediate part. You know, we'll see what Trey Harris develops. And they're building a solid team, man. Just looking at the offense, man, what impresses you the most?
What impresses me the most is what you said across that offensive line. Rashad Slater, Pro Bowler. Zion Johnson can be a Pro Bowler. Bradley Bozeman can be a Pro Bowler. Mekhi Becton, coming off his best season yet, and a Super Bowl win with the Eagles, turned his career around. And Joe Alt, a high draft pick that has been very, very good. That offensive line will keep that offense on the field. And guess what they did? Man. They got big guys at the receiver position because Herbert misses high. So you get big guys out there on the field, and Johnston, Trey Harris, and Williams. And you have the little guy that can move the chains in the middle of the field, Lad McConkey. This offense is built to break you down. Run the ball at you, run the ball at you, run the ball at you. Back shoulder throws, quick throws to McConkey. This offense is built to tear your defense down and make you guys just run around with your tongues hanging out because you're tired of tackling. That's what this offense is built around, and it helps out Herbert extremely, extremely well. Now, fantasy owners, I don't know about Justin Herbert as your quarterback going into this season.
Yeah,
he's not going to be that 30 to 40 touchdown guy anymore over there as long as Jim Harbaugh's the head coach, which is a good thing if you're cheering for the Chargers, not for stats.
Yeah, man, definitely, man. I don't see it. Not with the running game that they building with that offensive line. Nah, son. They about to run that ball in that end zone. But looking at that defense, though, man, how do you think they stack up on defense, man? You still got Khalil Mack, like we talked about earlier, bringing back the Mack man here, man. A couple other additions, of course. Still got Derwin James over there with them as well as a leader in the secondary, man. But what you think about the defense?
I think the defense is going to be good again. And I think they're going to be a little bit better this year now that Christian Fulton's out there not getting scorched like he was last year. You got Cam Hart at one starting cornerback. You know, you got Deontay Jackson coming from Pittsburgh that did very well over there with Pittsburgh. Derwin James, when he is healthy, is a very good safety, but his health is going to determine, a lot with this team. Are they superior to everybody else? No, they're a very good collective guys that go on that field and just get their jobs done to get off the field, and I think that's what's going to happen. People forget Tua Pelotu is very good. You got Bud Dupree to back those guys up. So you gonna see this Chargers team that week 1 game against the Chiefs? Yeah, they might be like, hey, look, Chief, it's a change of guard around here.
Yeah, man. Speaking of the week 1 game against the Chiefs, man, follow that by another division foe, 2 division foes, 3 in a row there for the Chargers to start this year with the Chiefs, Raiders, and Broncos. Then you get the Giants, Washington, Miami, so on and so forth, man. But I think those first 3 games should set the tone for the Chiefs, man. I think you got to win 2 out of 3 here, man. Against those division opponents, man, to set off the season, man. That's very key, having those games back to back like that, man, for them to start the season. What you think about the schedule, though?
I think the schedule, you can look at it in a bad way or a good way, starting off with those 3 division games back to back to back. You can look at it as a bad way as man, if we don't win at least 2 of those division games, we can literally be under 500 in our division for this year. And when you're under 500 in your division, normally that doesn't spell too good for your team. But I think they could beat all 3 of those teams. I really do. I think they match up well with Kansas City. I know they're better than the Raiders, and I think they match up very well with the Denver Broncos because I believe they both have similar styles. Play hard defense, run the ball, and let's see who can outlast you. And I think that whole division is built like that, to be honest with you, because the Raiders, when we talk about them, they're building a similar type style as well. And then you get the Giants. Who knows what you're going to get with the Giants? Then you get the Commanders. Then you get Miami, who's a mess. Indianapolis is a mess. Minnesota, let's see what their quarterback situation is. Tennessee is a mess. Pittsburgh, let's see if their quarterback situation with Aaron Rodgers helps them out any. I don't think it will, but we'll see. Jacksonville is a mess. Then you get the Raiders again. Now you get to the meat. Philadelphia, Kansas City, Dallas, Houston, Denver, Detroit. That is your gauntlet. That's what's going to determine their season right there. If they could get out of there with a winning record, they will be in the playoffs. But that part of the schedule is ridiculous.
First 3 games, and then those last what we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games right there. Is going to be determine their season right there. I think they can float in the middle part of their season. You know, you got teams like the Giants, the Colts, you know, the Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville. They still trying to figure themselves out. Pittsburgh, you don't know about their quarterback situation. You know, Minnesota's tough, and Miami, you know, you flip a coin, which team going to show up for them. So. That's a part of the schedule. I think they can really stack up some wins, but that first 3 games and then that last portion of their season is definitely going to be key for the Chargers, man. And look, this is a team that should start to be talked about in the Super Bowl conversation here now, you know. Going into year 2 of Jim Harbaugh, you know, this is a team that is, I'm not saying they're there, but they should start to be creeping into those conversations, man, because of the type of team that they're building with the Chargers, man. Because one thing in the playoffs, running game, good defense, going to take you far. Ask the dang on Eagles. Yeah, you know, so that's what damn near Jim Harbaugh and them's over there trying to build. They're trying to build a tough team that can run the football, control the clock, play good defense, and a quarterback that can make tough throws, as you see there on your screen, but also not make dumb mistakes to cost you the game, which is what has played Justin Herbert in the past, and they're starting to clean that up, man. But I think what do we put the over under at for the Chargers? 9.5, man. What you taking here, Pat? Over under 9.5.
I'm gonna say this, man. If they can get out of that rough patch here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and those 3 games, so that is 10 games. If they can get out of those 10 games, let's just say 6-4. Or 7-3, I believe they're a 10 to 11 win team easily. But they have to get out that rough patch. And I think they do it. I think they win 11 games again this year, maybe even 12. I like this Chargers team because of the way that they're coached and the way they have built this team. They built this team like they don't have a upper echelon quarterback. You see what I'm saying? And him being an upper echelon quarterback, just use your talent the way that you're supposed to use it and don't make any mistakes. That's a formula to win with a guy with that talent at the quarterback position. You're putting him on a team like he's a Trent Dilfer, and he's way better than what Trent Dilfer was ever be. So, yeah, I think this could be 11 to 12 win team, 10 at the very least. So, yeah, I'm going over.
I'm going to take the over. And I hate to give the Chargers any credit when it comes to betting, because if you know about betting, you know I don't trust the Chargers. But this is a different Chargers team. I think they're turning the corner, and I'm like you. I'm looking in that middle part of the schedule, and I think they stack some wins. You know, you can beat the Giants, you can beat the Commanders, you can beat Miami, you can beat Indiana. You know what I'm saying?
You can
Minnesota,
beat the Vikings, you can beat Tennessee,
you can beat
Pittsburgh, you can beat Jacksonville.
Those are all beatable, a beatable part of your schedule. What the test is going to be for them is within their division, because their division is so tough. You know, you can go and beat the Eagles at home. You can beat Dallas in Dallas. You know what I'm saying? In that last portion of the schedule, you know, Houston, who knows? You know what they got going on over there, man. That's a team that, you know, we'll preview later on. But you know, they got some question marks too, I believe. But this Chargers team, I definitely think, is trending upwards, and I'm going to take the over on the Chargers here this year, over 9.5. Now we'll see what they do in the playoffs. That's always been their little bugaboo. But as long as they get there, they're building the type of team that can win a Super Bowl, man. With the defense and running game that they've been stacking up over there. So, that being said, we are going to transition to the next team. We will be right back. We're going to talk about those Raiders. Be right back. All right, back here with the Raiders, man, and your boy Pete Carroll, man. You see him up there with his new team and his new quarterback, Geno Smith. Last year, tough year for our boy Antonio Pierce, and the Raiders went 4-13. This year, they're projected to win 6.5 games. So people think Vegas at least think Vegas.
Right. Vegas thinks Vegas is going to be better.
Vegas thinks Vegas is going to be a little bit better. Yeah. Read into what you want to read into that. But strength of schedule is 16, so about mid-pack. So not a gauntlet for the Raiders to go through this year. We'll talk about the schedule a little bit later on, but it was tough last year for the Raiders. Man. But talk a little bit about what you're seeing on the field last year with this Raiders team, man, and what went down out there, man, and how they can improve.
I think this Raider team was mistake prone. I just think this Raiders team gave up down the stretch, and they just started playing for a draft pick. Their offense was abysmal. Their defense, you know, even though they played well, they couldn't overcome the mistakes of the offense. And I just think that this team was just in disarray last year. We'll see exactly what this team does this upcoming year. I do believe they have talent. I do believe, you know, they're changing the guard over there with Mr. Brock Bowers, as you see there on the screen. He was phenomenal last year. Broke the rookie record for receptions. He actually got more receptions than Malik Neighbors. So think about that. So Brock Bowers is doing his thing out there. I knew he was going to be a beast when he was drafted. I think they got a little bit better, as you saw Geno Smith on the cover with Pete Carroll. So they got themselves a new coach and a new quarterback, a veteran quarterback that has played some very good football the past couple of years with Seattle. So we'll see what he does over there with the Raiders. I think, you know, I do think they'll be a little bit better and a little bit well coached, a little bit more energy in that building, and we'll see what they'll do.
Yeah, most definitely, man. You're gonna see this Raiders team start to take. They gotta start to have to develop an identity, and I think that's what Pete Carroll is brought there for, is to get the Raiders back to being the Raiders, to try to establish an identity with this team, because that is something that they've been lacking for real. But They do have your man Max Crosby, as you see there on the screen. So that is a starting point for sure, man. That is definitely a building block, and I just think they need more of those building blocks, man. When you talk about this team with the Raiders, man. But Raiders made some changes. And let's take a look at some of the offseason moves that they made. First, let's see who is on the out. Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder, goodbye.
All right.
And I think the Raider fans would probably be clapping. Those guys are not the best of the bunch. Lost Abdullah and Madison at the running back. Terrence Marshall went over to the Eagles. Center Andre James went to the Chargers, a division rival, switching over there. But took John Jenkins to the Ravens. Talk about some of these losses, man, and who do you think they're going to be missing the most here, if anybody?
They only have really two key losses to me. You can say three with the last guy I'm gonna mention, but the two key losses was Robert Spillane and Devon Diablo. Those are actually pretty good linebackers. They did what they were supposed to do. Robert Spillane made some very good plays for them last year, and Diablo was the enforcer for those guys out there last year. So missing those two guys at the linebacker position really might hurt their defense this upcoming year. And Trevor Moehrig, when he's healthy and he was out there, he did pretty well. That's why he's with the Panthers. I think he signed a decent deal with the Panthers. So those three guys, but all those other guys, man, come on, man.
Yeah, it wasn't an impressive list. But that's what you get on a 4-13 team.
That's a fact.
It ain't gonna be a lot of talent to be lost. So. Looking at who they brought in, of course, the big one, as we led off with, was Geno Smith. Being acquired in a trade, also signing Mustard from the running back position. Alex Copper, 2-year, $11 million contract, man, helping them out on the interior. Of course, they re-signed Crosby. Couple other re-signings there on the defensive end. Jeremy Chin, one of them. But which one of these signings, man, do you think is going to have that big impact, man, here for the Raiders, man, as they try to improve on that 4-13 record?
Well, a couple of things that they did that I like is, getting that trade with Geno Smith. Getting Geno Smith in the building for Pete Carroll, who actually started him off on his upward trajectory. Mm-hmm. Re-signing Max Crosby to a 3-year extension was dope. Bringing in Jeremy Chan was dope. And the signing of Jermaine Pratt after he was released by the Bengals was a pretty good move for them. And Leaky Fotu, he could definitely be a depth piece for them. The only thing I don't like is you're just signing a bunch of guys like Landon Roberts, Devin White, Jalen Smith, Darnay Holmes, Eric Stokes.
Darnay Holmes. Oh.
Yeah, a lot of these kids, a lot of those linebackers that you brought in are not going to replace what you did. And Devin White is not the same player that he once was. Jalen Smith, my God. And Landon Roberts, no. Darnay Holmes, no. Eric Stokes, no. So we'll see what they do. I like the side of Alex Copper too. Alex Copper definitely be that veteran on that offensive line for them. I like that signing too.
Yeah, I think they needed to do that, man. They needed to definitely improve that. You look, you just traded for Geno Smith now. You're bringing in Pete Carroll, so you need to start to work on that offensive line. It was not the best. Now it wasn't the worst either, but it definitely wasn't the best. There with the Raiders. Looking at the draft that they had, I think there's a lot to like here. Definitely like the Ashton Genty pick there. I think the narrative of running back shouldn't be picked high in the first round is being eliminated. Another one here, Ashton Genty, one of those dynamic running backs, man, that can do it all out the backfield. Jack Beck, who we scouted at the Senior Bowl, man, seen at the Senior Bowl, man, wide receiver out of TCU. We talked to him. He is definitely one of those guys, man, that is that can help them out, help out Geno Smith, man, give him a reliable target there. Caleb Rogers, I liked him out of Texas Tech. Also like their 7th round pick, Cody Lindenberg, linebacker out of Minnesota, there as well, man. So nice picks here, man, for the Raiders. I like the draft here, man. But what's your thoughts on what they did here in the NFL draft?
This is a Pete Carroll type draft, man. Get the running game going with Ashton Genty, the best running back in college football, one of the best running backs in college football in a long time. You get Jack Betch, another guy that could establish the middle of the field at the receiver position for them. Darian Porter, tall, long, physical, long arm cornerback. Pete Carroll loves those type guys. He is a Raider if I've ever seen one. Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant, developmental. That's why I like that signing of Alex Copper. He could come in and play a year, show those young men on how to play at the offensive line, and you allow those two guys to develop into starters, which I do believe they will develop into starters. They had a heck of a 3rd round when I'm looking at it. My goodness. Then the people that people might not think much about, Dante Thornton Jr. out of Tennessee, but he is a Raider. He is that long, tall receiver that can run. He can take the top off the defense for you. When you want the defense to back up so you can get Ashton Genty some room, play action, launch that ball to Dante Thornton Jr., he can make some plays. And then Pete Carroll all over his draft. 2 defensive tackles in Pegasus and Hemingway played major roles on both those defenses in the SEC to make those defenses very good last year with those guys. So they will play musical chairs with that defensive line over there with the Raiders, and you already have Max Crosby. Give him some help. Let some of those guys develop over there. You know, you got Cam Miller, who could turn into something after Geno Smith has retired. Cody Lindenberg, who knows what he could turn in, but that might be a good pick in the 7th round. I love what they did in the draft. I think they had a strong draft.
Look, man, that draft right there was solid, man, and this is just year one. This is just year one for Pete Carroll and Geno Smith over there with the Raiders. Let's take a look at the roster here, man. As we been talking a little bit about what they did here from a defensive standpoint, from an offensive standpoint. Definitely like what they've been building on the defense, man. Like you said, man, they got Jeremy Chin. They have Christian Wilkins, who they signed last year. Remember that. They also got Crosby, of course. Some of the other guys they signed, they're just depth pieces, I'm guessing, man. But they started to build a good foundation over there, man. But on offense, I think it's going to be up to this offensive line, man, to be able to give Geno Smith some time, man. And it's going to be up to these receivers, man. Can these receivers step up? Do you see a real number one receiver out there, man, for this Raiders team? Those are some of the questions that I have when I'm looking at this roster, man. But what about you?
I mean, it's a very valid question. Who's the number one receiver? It's going to have to be Jacoby Myers. But you got Jack Betch out there that can take a lot of that pressure off of him, and I think Jack Betch can be an all-around receiver. If you need him to play to the outside, he can. He could definitely dominate in the inside and the slot. You got Trey Tucker as the deep threat, but I think Thornton, you need to let him compete with Trey Tucker to be that deep threat on this team. But you got a guy that can move the chains in Jack Betch, and Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is the number one receiver on this team, if you want to be honest with you.
That's true.
Just
to be honest with you. Yeah.
But you're gonna have to get the run game going, feed Brock Bowers, and those other guys are gonna have to come up and move the chains when they start to focus on those two guys. And that offensive line is yet to be seen. If they play half decent, I think this offense will be half decent. If they don't play well, I think this offense will be horrible. But we'll see. But the defense, I think they just keep building on what they're doing, and that defense could keep them in some games.
Yeah, I think the defense can keep them in some games, but I'm just like I like the D line, man. I don't know. I don't know if they have enough pop, to really get there, man. Where they trying to go, man. I don't know, man. But let's take a look at their schedule, man. Let's see if they can get ahead of that 6.5 win total that BetMGM has them at. Yeah, I mean, you starting off not too bad there. You got the Patriots, that's winnable. Chargers division, Washington, and Bears. You can win that one. You can beat the Colts, Tennessee. Then you get to Kansas City, Jacksonville, Denver. Then it starts to get a little bit sticky. You got Denver, Dallas, Cleveland, who's going to have a tough defense. The Chargers, Raiders, Philly, Houston, the Giants, and then the Chiefs. Whoa. That's pretty rough there. So light on the front end, heavy on the back end with this Raiders schedule. 6.5. Where you got them at? Over or under?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna have to say maybe under because I got them around 6 wins. But just to talk about this team, you're not gonna win a Super Bowl with the Raiders this year. That's not your aspirations. You want them to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. You want them to beat New England. You want them to beat the Colts, the Titans, the Browns, the Giants, Arizona, Seattle, Raiders. Yeah, you want to beat up on the teams that they're supposed to beat. And if they do that, they could sneak a game against the Bears. They could sneak a game against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
They can sneak a game, a division game here too. You got to give them at least one division win. They might be able to beat a team like the Texans.
They might beat the Chargers. They might beat the Broncos once. I see that.
You know what I'm saying? They catch the Broncos or the Chargers on a bad day on offense. Your defense holds up, and you wind up being able to run the ball against them that day. Who knows? You might be able to get a win in one of those games. Maybe even the Chiefs. They play the Chiefs very well every year, even when they were sorry. So I can see them. I can see them getting 6 wins, maybe 7. I'm gonna go to under because I see them at 6 wins. But if they get 7 wins, I wouldn't be surprised. Especially if you developing that team the way they're supposed to be developed, and they have a veteran quarterback in there now. So Geno Smith is gonna make some of those throws or the quarterbacks couldn't make or wouldn't make. So you never know, man. Maybe all they needed was a veteran quarterback, to get their offense to the next level. If Gentry is as advertised, you got a run game. Offensive line is going to have to step up, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think Raiders fans, yeah, man. I know it's been rough, and you want to think it's going to get a little bit better, but it's going to be a little bit rougher before it get a little bit better, man. I got them under here, man. I have them under. Division is very tough. You have the good fortune of playing the AFC South. So I could definitely see a situation where you stack a couple wins in that division. You know what I'm saying? Then win some of your off division games, maybe you catch the Giants or Washington in the NFC East, something like that, man, and get to 7. But if I'm picking it, yeah, I'm right at that 5 to 6 wins with this Raiders team, man. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time with them. You got a uphill battle, in your division, and you have an uphill battle as far as establishing enough on offense. You know, I talked about the receivers. I talked a little bit about the offensive line. You know, they still got room to grow there. You know, so you need a little bit more on offense. Defense can hang in there. Got to question the secondary. But I think the defensive line can hang in there. Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins and them scarce teams. But you need some more pieces on defense as well. So it's still building. I honestly can't see them getting to no 8-9 wins. If they get 7, they'll just barely crack the over. But as of right now, I'm going under with this Raiders team, man. But yeah, man, that was the Raiders. Up next, we are going to conclude our AFC West preview with the Denver Broncos, man. So stay tuned. We will be right back. All right, we are back with the Denver Broncos, man. This Denver Broncos team last year surprised some people. Pat, with a 10-7 record last year for the Broncos. This year they got them at 9.5 wins per BetMGM. Strength of schedule 15th in the league, so about mid-pack. This Broncos team with your boy Bo Nix,
yes, sir,
definitely shocked a lot of people. So I want you to go in and talk a little bit about what the Broncos did, man, and why they were able to catch some teams by surprise last year, man. What are they cooking over there in Denver, Pat, man?
Man, they are cooking up something special over there in Denver, man. I told people that Bo Nix was going to be a lot better than he was given credit for. Everybody went to his Auburn years and just overlooked what he did over there at Oregon. Bo Nix is a very, very capable quarterback in this league. He has the athleticism. He has the arm. You just have to make his decision-making a lot better. Is he going to be like a guy like Josh Allen and them? No. But he's going to be a very formidable quarterback on a team that is being built by Sean Payton. Sean Payton's offensive systems have always been good, and you don't need to be the strongest arm of quarterback, the most athletic quarterback to have success in his systems. And they are building a defense for the ages over there with the Broncos. They actually getting closer and closer to that Super Bowl winning defense that they had over there in Denver when Peyton Manning was an absolute shell of himself over there. And his last year over there in Denver when they won the Super Bowl. So we will see exactly what they're being built over there with the Broncos, man. But I think they're going to be a very good team again.
I think they are too. They didn't lose much from the team that you're talking about.
Lose nothing.
4 names. I like Javonte Williams, but that's not gonna hurt you. Zach Wilson definitely gonna hurt you. Cody Barton, not missing him, and not missing a punter. So yeah. Not much to talk about here, man.
Nothing.
Because they haven't lost a dang on thing. Excellent job, man, by Sean Payton in that front office over there with the Broncos. Let's look at who they bought in and who they re-signed. J.K. Dobbins, bringing in, adding to the running back room. Also re-signing their fullback. Michael Burton, Evan Ingram coming in from a big name right there, signing a 2-year deal with the Broncos, re-signing old New York Giants legend Matt Pert to a 2-year, $7 million deal. Drake Greenlaw, big name here, coming in on a 3-year deal, man, and Hufanga as well, both from the 49ers. So they plucking some of the 49ers defensive players, man, adding to an already good defense, man. But who you like here, man, out of the signings, man, that they made, Pat?
Man, I like J.K. Dobbins and Evan Ingram on offense. J.K. Dobbins brings that tough short yardage situation running back over there to the Denver Broncos when they need to pick up those 3rd and 1s and 3rd and 2s, or just want to pound the rock at you and knock you off your kilter to allow Bo Nix to will and deal to those receivers that he has over there. Evan Ingram is going to be a major player in that Sean Payton's offense, man. They're going to get Evan Ingram down the field, in the middle of the field, on the sideline. Evan Ingram might have a 100-catch season over there with the Broncos if they do it right. That's what he wants. Remember, he the one that got what's my boy, Jimmy Graham, to go off over there when he was with the Saints. They've always had a tight end, Jared Cook. He did well over there with the Saints. Evan Ingram, I do believe he will do well over there in that Sean Payton offense. Matt Pert, love that re-signing, had a resurgence in his career. Might just been the coaching over there with the Giants, and it seems to be like that with a lot of players coming from the New York Giants. They seem to do a lot better when they get away from that culture that's being built over there with the New York Giants. Matt Pert, very good signing, did what he was supposed to do. DJ Jones is back with for the Broncos, nose tackle, knows what he's supposed to do. Then you bring over this monster and Dre Greenlaw, when healthy, one of the better linebackers in the league. Justice Stranad brought him back. He might not be a starter, but he's definitely one of those rotational guys that comes in there and does what he's supposed to do. And then you get a all-pro safety when he is healthy. They robbed the 49ers of some talent, didn't they? Because DJ Jones came over there from the 49ers too.
Yeah, man.
So I love what this Broncos team did, bro. They did do nothing but get better.
It's
definitely crazy over there.
Holds the 49ers roster. As the 49ers are making changes over there, man. We'll get to them later in the preview segment, but yeah, man, definitely gotta like the moves the Broncos made, especially in free agency. Let's take a look at what they did in the draft. Should have been the draft, but well, we can go on the draft here because they did bring in Pat Bryant, Savion Jones, who they brought in as well. Your boy Jeremy Crawshaw was drafted by them as well.
Plays Riley Dixon that fast.
Pat Bryant, Kay Robinson, and Caleb Loner, whatever. But looking at their roster, man, overall, man, who do you like, man, and who do you like out of the players that they drafted, man, bringing in with the Broncos here?
I definitely like Pat Bryant, the way they brought him over there. He's definitely that taller receiver that if they need a taller receiver to go out there and get the ball to him, definitely like that move for him right there. And then I actually like the Kershaw move. We talked to him at the Senior Bowl, and he could be a weapon for that defense.
Well, they lost Riley Dixon, so
they replaced him that fast.
Yeah, and that kid can punt.
Man, he was booting it out there at the Senior Bowl, like killing
it. And kick.
So imagine if your offense at the 30-yard line, he boots that, and he gets them inside the 20, and that defense goes out there and does what they do. He can absolutely be a weapon for this team just by punting the ball well. This team, I like this team going into the season, man. I really do. This could be a surprise team in the AFC this year, man.
They definitely can, man. And when you looking at how they stack up, man, on the offensive end, man, especially on the offensive line, you got Garrett Bowles, Ben Powers, Luke Wattenberg, Quinn Minards, and then Mike McGlinchey on that offensive line, man. Very formidable group. Like you said, they brought back Matt Pert as well, who has been playing well for them. Cortland Sutton is a very, very rated wide receiver in this league, in my opinion. Troy Franklin, who had chemistry with Bo Nix, has continued to have chemistry with him in the NFL coming from college. So I do like how they stack up on the offensive end. Here, looking at the defense, though, Pat, what they added with Greenlaw and Hufanga, really, I think can help them go get to that next level. You know what I'm saying?
Vicious, man.
Because you got PS2, Pat Surtain already in that secondary. Now you got add Hufanga, you know what I'm saying? Riley Moss and Brandon and Jones aren't no slouches.
They're good too.
Right, and then on the linebacker corridor, you already got Nick Bonito, who I like, and then Alex Singleton, but bringing in Dre Greenlaw, man, that, bro, DJ Jones and John Franklin Myers on the offensive line, people don't give them enough respect, man. Those are good players as well. So this is a solid team. This is a solid team. This is like a Indiana Pacers type of team, Pat, to be honest with you, man. And we, shout out to the NBA, man. But if we comparing it to basketball, this would be an Indiana, just a well-rounded group of players.
Bro, you know that they got Zach Allen, who played well, DJ Jones, who played well, John Franklin Myers played well, Jonathan Cooper is a monster, Drake Greenlaw's a monster, Alex Singleton's a monster, Nick Bonito played well, Patrick Surtain, the best corner in the league, people say, Hufanga, one of the best safeties in the game, Brandon Jones, a very good safety, Riley Moss is a very good corner. Like, it is real out there, bro. It is real out there with that team. They got a front 11. 11 out there with the Broncos, bro. Like, this team could be scary if that offense produces 23 to 24 points. Man, what you gonna do with them?
Like I said, a well-rounded group, man. You look, man. You got Bo Nix, respectable quarterback. He came into the league and he was able to establish himself. One of two rookies who did so last year, in my opinion, him and Jaden Daniels. He did well in that Sean Payton offensive system. Now they can run the ball too, because they have the offensive line to do it. And, you add R.J. Harvey, you bring in J.K. Dobbins, you know what I'm saying? You got Estimane over there on with the running backs. So what we want to do, we want to add to our receiving group. Let's go out and get Evan Ingram, a receiving tight end. We need to get a little bit better on defense. You got ran routed by the Buffalo Bills, I believe, in the playoffs. And bring in Greenlaw, you bring in Hufanga. Okay, now you starting to push that to that next level, man. With the Chargers, I think them and the Chargers, they're gonna be right there neck and neck in this division, man. Trying to dethrone the Chiefs. I don't think the Raiders are quite there yet, but 9.5, man, as we get to the schedule here, man, for the Denver Broncos. 9.5. Looking at this schedule, I'm going to say, man, I think it's lining up nice. I think it's lining up nice for the Broncos. Now you got it gets a little bit heavy, you know what I'm saying? In the beginning, well, towards the middle, I guess, ish part there, you have that stretch with Philly, then you get the two New York teams, Dallas, but then you get Houston, the Raiders, the Chiefs, Washington, Raiders, Green Bay. And then you round off with Jacksonville, Kansas City, and then the Chargers. Their biggest test, again, like the Chargers, is going to come from their division.
Yep.
This year. So, what are you thinking here, Pat? 9.5, over, under?
I'm going over. I'm going over. I think they could be 4-2 in their division, and they're the one team in that AFC West that I know can beat the Eagles. They're the one team from that division that I know could beat the Eagles because their defense is legit enough to where they're not going to allow the Eagles to run that ball all over them like that. And then you got Patrick Surtain matched up with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's a beast.
I think they can sweep the NFC East, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think they can
too. They're that one team that's dog enough to sweep the whole NFC East.
But I think they're going to have an issue in their division.
Because of the offenses over there in the division. They're more spread out and they're more
dynamic.
Broncos are built like hit you in the mouth. You coming over there, hit us in the mouth. No, we finna hit you. That's the way they're built. So if their offense is going to have to produce in those AFC West battles. But their defense, everybody else in the league is in trouble. That's the one division where the offenses can, make them run and make them tired and get plays here or there. But if you're not a spread out offense, I don't think you're gonna do too much to the Broncos this season.
I'm thinking over 2. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking over 2 because they playing like this whole division is playing the AFC South. They play in the AFC South and then they play in the NFC East. Now, while the NFC East is tough, we not sold on the Giants and we ain't sold on the Cowboys either. At least I'm not, as a true threat. Now, Washington and Philly, they're going to be, I think, legit contenders in the NFC. But those other 2 teams, I think you can get, and you might can get all 4, just depending on when you play them. So I think it lines up nice, particularly for the Chiefs. Going to be the Chiefs, and I think the Raiders just ain't there, But it's definitely not lining up nice for the Broncos and the Chargers to hit the over on their win totals this year, man. So I'm going over with the Broncos. Just a little bit of betting nugget there for you guys. Go over Broncos, Chargers, NFC East, and AFC South. Not the juggernauts of the NFL. But man, this has been the AFC West preview. I think the Chiefs are still the kings of this division, but they have the Broncos and Chargers nipping at their heels now, and this could be the year where the Chiefs come in second place. This could be the year where you see a Chargers, team step up and knock the Chiefs off, or the Broncos surprise them, This could be that year. Raider fans, I think you're a couple years away, but I think you're building in the right direction with Pete Carroll and Geno Smith. But this, to me, is about whether the Broncos and the Chargers can take the next step and knock off the Chiefs, man, and see the Chiefs not win this division as they seem to always do. But what's your overall thoughts for the AFC West, man, as we wrap this thing up, bro?
I think the AFC West has 3 teams with 10 wins or more again. And I think it's going to be a battle towards the end between all 3 of those teams with, I think, between the Chiefs and the Chargers. I just think the Broncos might go like 3-3 in this division. They might lose twice to the Chiefs, or they might lose twice to the Chargers and beat the Raiders twice and beat one of the other teams once. I just think that the Broncos have to get a little bit more offensive power to dominate in this division. The Chiefs are always going to be the Chiefs. Until you knock them on their ass, you got to give them respect. And I think the Chargers are that team that can literally dethrone the Chiefs over there with the way they run the ball and with the way they can spread the ball offensive wise with the quarterback and Justin Herbert, who I think they put in his best position, not to be the guy to go out there to be the hero. He's the guy to keep you afloat and make a play here or there to get you over the hump and let that defense and that running game end the game for you. You know, put him in situations where he doesn't have to be the hero and the Raiders looking up from the bottom.
Yeah, man. That's kind of how I see it in a similar matter. I do think though, you know, Raiders might get some games, you know, and they might get a couple upset wins, a couple surprise wins in there. You know, you could very well see, you know, all these teams hit the over on their win totals. But if I had to pick right now, man, I'm thinking it's lining up real good for the Chiefs and the Broncos, man. And look, I mean, not the Chiefs and the Broncos, but the Chargers and the Broncos and the Chiefs. I'm telling you, as consistent as they are, you know, hey, it don't last forever. We seen it with the Patriots. It don't last forever, man. And these teams are building. What I like what the Chargers and the Broncos are doing is they're building a type of team that can beat the Chiefs with a strong defense and a strong running game, because you want to keep that guy right there, you know, that's screaming off the field and keep him from screaming and getting hyped like that. And the way you do that is by running the ball and definitely stopping the Chiefs' dynamic offense, man, keeping them off the field, man. So controlling time of possession, running game, defense. We also know a good running game and a defense is what you need to get through to win a Super Bowl. Offense to get you regular season wins and then get you in the dance. That defense is what's going to take you there and propel you throughout the playoffs. And I'm seeing 3 teams right now that are built to do that in this division. The Raiders, you got to catch up, but you know, they'll get there soon. Stay the course. Yep. But that's all we got, man, for this edition, man. We'll come back with the next preview, man. But, man, if I ain't got nothing else if you don't, Pat.
Yeah, AFC West is going to be a very fun division to watch this season. There's going to be a lot of good football played in that division, and they're going to beat up on a lot of teams. It's going to come down who beats up on who in that division. So it's going to be a tough division, but a very fun one to watch if you like offensive football. And actually, the AFC West defense is starting to come around over there in the AFC West. It's starting to turn into a defensive division. So things change. We'll see. But this has been the AFC West preview show right here in the off season. Hey, what better than watching the Aboriginal Sports Network, man, while you're waiting for training camps to start, while you're waiting for the football season to start. NBA Finals is gone. We're here for you, man. We got your backs, man, right here on the Aboriginal Sports Network. So this is NYG22, Big Pat Sports Talk. We signing out, and we'll see you on the next preview show. Which division you think is going to be? Click in and find out. Peace.
Yeah, man. Peace.